Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for joining the SolarWinds team. My name is Richa Dhanda and I'm VP of Marketing at SolarWinds. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Brandon Shopp, who's GVP of Product at SolarWinds, and Douglas McDowell, who's GM of Database at SolarWinds. So we're going to talk to you about the challenges, especially around the operations management that most of the companies face today as they are digitally transforming, and how we have designed specific solutions to help you solve those challenges very easily and drive efficiency and intelligent automation while powering business critical goals. Before we get there, I just wanted to briefly talk to you about who is SolarWinds in case you do not know. So we are an industry leader in IT operations management and observability. We serve 300,000 customers worldwide, such as yourself, and almost all of the Fortune 500. Technologists and leaders such as yourself love us, so we've been ushered with multiple industry awards and recognitions. So now let's get started with what are the challenges that you face today and how we can help you. With that, I'll ask a question to Brandon. So Brandon, help us understand what's happening in the market and what opportunities digital transformation gives different companies and what's it leading to in terms of technology challenges.
The headline here is digital transformation is accelerating. Most folks, are in the midst of that. And, some of the challenges that folks are working through are, things like multi-cloud. Most organizations aren't, living or working with just one cloud provider. Typically, they're using two or more cloud providers. And so that provides challenges around instrumentation, automation of workloads from one cloud to the other, as an example. And then, of course, unfortunately, we've, have been going through, this pandemic here. And so folks have dispersed, in terms of where they're working from. No longer are folks primarily sitting in an office building somewhere. Most folks are sitting at home or at a coffee shop. And so now you have folks that are remote as well. And so, these are all opportunities, for organizations, to accelerate their digital transformation. But, there are some challenges that you have to work through. I mean, of course, we're all trying to do more with less. That is an ongoing theme, an ongoing trend, for many years. We never have enough funds in which to go and execute all of the initiatives, projects, and efforts, that our organization has ultimately outlined for us. So as you can see here, the technology landscape that is ultimately powering, these digital transformations is becoming more complex, but more importantly, even more distributed. You have technologies, we talked about, hybrid and multi-cloud, but you have technologies now such as SD-WAN that is coming into play and connecting different sites and different clouds on that front. A lot of organizations are looking at how do I modernize, some of my historically monolithic applications and move them to more microservice or cloud native architectures on that front. And that includes also the databases. And then, of course, one trend that we're seeing as well is, really the bringing down of silos within organizations. And what I mean by that is, making, DevOps and IT ops and SecOps work much more closely together than they have in the past. At the end of the day, ultimately, organizations are concerned about uptime, availability, and performance of their applications and services. They're not as, worried about is it the network or is it the cloud or where is the problem residing at? At the end of the day is how quickly can I resolve that problem and get that service back operational and generating revenue, for my business on that front. And so a lot of the challenges that organizations struggle with, is going to be impacted by breaking down these silos. And so you're going to see a lot more information sharing across. You're going to see a lot more tool sharing, hopefully. So that way folks are looking at the same sheet of music, if you will, in terms of the data that folks are analyzing and using in order to solve the problems on that front.
Brandon, that looks like a very big challenge. So how can customers solve these challenges? What are the offerings that SolarWinds has which can help customers with solving this complexity?
Absolutely. And I want to talk to you a little bit here about the SolarWinds hybrid cloud observability offering. And so as you can see here, being able to provide full stack observability across from the application all the way down through the network, embracing AI ops and other open telemetry type standards, from an open source collaboration perspective, but really giving organizations the ability to have comprehensive visibility, be it on-prem, private cloud, multi-cloud, if they're using traditional bare metal or virtualization, or if they're using new modernized technologies like serverless and Kubernetes on that front. And fundamentally, all of this is underpinned, by our secure by design, philosophy and strategy on that front. And as you have a solution, you want one that ultimately is going to provide smart insights, business insights, and enable smart remediations. Organizations, want to drive towards how can I, reduce mean time to identification, mean time to repair, and in some cases, how can I drive more autonomous operations and automations within my environment? So tightly coupling this and tying this into from a closed loop automation perspective, with an ITSM platform and solution on that front gives you kind of the complete picture.
That's great. So if customers deploy this, what kind of results can they expect?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. And so first is, I talked about accelerating mean time to identification and mean time to repair. So first here is, accelerating issue resolution. I talked about AI and AI ops and machine learning. And one of the great things you can do, with that set of capabilities and technology is really focus on, the alerts that are valid and real for the environment. And so, reducing alert fatigue, the amount of alerts and potentially false positive alerts that get fired from that system. You get deployment flexibility. So, if you're a large enterprise, if you're a managed service provider, you have different needs when it comes to how you deploy technology on that front. So, things like scale, things like high availability on that front. And so having flexibility to choose a solution and a package that provides everything that you need to support, your deployment needs is something that the hybrid cloud observability offering provides. The other thing is I talked about breaking down silos. One of the common, themes and trends that we hear in talking with customers is, how do I, reduce tool sprawl? Organizations are spending, a lot of money in terms of not just the software and the licenses, but also training and infrastructure in order to power, all those various tools. And so, how do you bring those down and centralize around a handful of key solutions and vendors? And so hybrid cloud observability, as I was kind of talking about on the previous slide, gives you that full stack visibility, from the application down to the database and ultimately into the network. And so that, the solution will enable you to reduce some of the tools in your environment. And lastly here, we have the ability to gain cloud readiness and future-proof your investment. And what I mean by this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in depth here, is, as you go through that digital transformation, if your organization is one that is mandating that, because again, not all organizations are moving to the cloud, but for those that are, and have currently an investment on-prem, instead of, ripping and replacing and starting from scratch, how can you take your existing investment, things like configuration and settings, and move those to a cloud-native SaaS-based solution? And at SolarWinds, we are providing, a path or a gateway or a bridge for our on-premises customers that have a desire to move to a SaaS-based cloud-native observability solution to enable them to do that ultimately.
Thank you, Brandon. What kind of, along with the business benefits, are there any ROI benefits that you can share that customers might have achieved using SolarWinds platform and offerings?
Absolutely. So as you can see here on the slide, there's a couple examples of some customers of SolarWinds here that have upgraded and moved over to the hybrid cloud observability solution. One is a communication service provider, and the other is a global technology solutions provider. As you can see here, there are ROI efficiency gains, but also reducing OpEx spend and costs. So, there are various efficiencies and gains that customers across various industries, sizes, and verticals ultimately are able to achieve, with the SolarWinds platform and hybrid cloud observability.
As you mentioned, different customers and different organizations have different transformation strategy. Some some have more data center focused strategy, and others are increasingly moving to cloud and want to move cloud. And there are others who started in cloud. So those are different stages. How are these offerings serving different needs of customers who are in these different stages of transformation, especially around cloud modernization and migration?
A lot of it really ties here into visibility. Ultimately there on that front. If you have, resources and entities and assets, that are in a data center that are in the cloud, be it assets that, are or are not native, to cloud and using cloud-based services, organizations have to really, take a step back, and not everything is primed, for the cloud. If you do a lift and shift, it's not always going to have the outcome that organizations desire, and so they may choose to go through a re-architecture of that solution or that custom application that they have within their environment. And so, being able to support that, you don't want to have it just be binary in terms of I'm on-prem, now I'm all in the cloud. It's a journey. On that front. And again, SolarWinds wants to provide, solutions that aid you and guide you through that journey. As an example, as I move an application, let's say from an on-prem data center over into the cloud, I need to understand costs. Is it going to be more cost effective, more cost efficient for me to run that in the cloud? And if not, is that something that I want to revisit on that front? And so you can do and look at the historical data, since we are allowing you and providing that path. You can see the data as you do that migration. Is my performance getting better? Is it at least staying the same? Hopefully it's not regressing, for my users. And so having a solution, such as the one from SolarWinds here, gives you that comprehensive visibility no matter what stage of this digital transformation journey you may be on. So as we were talking about the various, phases that an organization may be in as they go through their digital transformation, be it from cloud native to, on premises, how does SolarWinds, help you through that? And so as you could see, observability has evolved from traditional monitoring to allow you to have intelligent and automated workflows and capabilities. And so, in that orange cloud there, hybrid cloud observability is our on-premises observability solution, giving you that full stack comprehensive visibility. Now, additionally, we also have SolarWinds Observability, which is a cloud native SaaS product, which also provides full stack observability. And that is that little cloud there that you see in the blue. And I talked about that bridge that connects customers that are going through their transformations and want that unified visibility. And as you look there, kind of joining those two clouds together, you have that orange circle talking about unified visibility. And that's where we have, that bridge. And all of this fundamentally is powered by and underpinned by AI ops and machine learning.
Along with the rest of the stack, database plays a very critical role in how applications perform or the workloads perform. Could you share, if a customer has different transformation journey, and how we help them in terms of managing database performance and help with migration and modernization as well at the same time?
Of course, database and data itself is central to every application. Every application has one or more databases. And the interesting statistic is that usually when there's a application performance problem, it's actually tied to the database performance. So 70% of the time, that's the case. And that's where SolarWinds really excels, especially around database observability, because 82% of our customers can improve their database performance by using our tool set. So that's critical for just a normal observability or monitoring use case. But then it gets more interesting because we are in this tipping point year. This is the year that Gartner says that more workloads will run in the cloud for database than on premises. And then it will continue to scale in the cloud from there. And so we're seeing a lot of customers move their workloads from on premises into the cloud and then initiate new workloads there. And around that use case of migrating from on-premises into the cloud, consider you're in a CapEx model on premises, you've invested in hardware, and your workload may perform just fine, but it's actually not optimized. And so if you move it into the cloud, you may be overpaying. So the right thing to do is to optimize that workload. And so to use the tools to increase database performance before you make that migration. And then once it's in the cloud, use the SolarWinds tool set to be able to understand that you're getting good performance there and assuring that your outcomes, your business outcomes, are ideal because of the database dependency. The other thing that's a strong current in the market is the move towards open source databases. And back to my original statement is that every application has one or more databases. We're seeing applications have multiple databases. And sometimes they're a commercial database like SQL Server or Oracle, but often they're MySQL or Postgres or Mongo. And because we cover all of those databases, then you can have the ability to optimize those and own their performance, whether they're on premises or in the cloud. So database tends to be your most expensive and most valuable workload because of how much storage it takes up, how much compute it takes up. And so whether that's on premises or in the cloud, you need to make sure that you're the owner and in control of what that performance looks like. We can help you do that.
Thank you so much, Brandon and Douglas, and thank you everyone for joining us. So as you can see, SolarWinds offerings will meet you wherever you are in your cloud modernization and migration journey. So we have offerings that are designed specifically to meet all the needs of different stages of that journey. So we've helped our customers deliver business critical goals while they were doing this migration and modernization. We are happy and very excited and looking forward to hearing from you so that we can help you as well. So thank you very much for your time. Look forward to hearing from you.